Good evening, and welcome to my daily broadcast. My name is Barry Selby. This is Messages from the Masculine to Inspire the Feminine Heart. And this is number 230, and I'll get to that in a second. But I'll start with my usual bio to let you know who I am, in case you're joining me for the first, if you're joining me for the first time, that is. As I said, my name is Barry Selby. I am a best-selling author, speaker, and relationship attraction expert, helping strong, successful women find balance in love, life, and business. I'm also a passionate champion of the divine feminine, and I do these talks every day. This is number 230. That's quite a lot. To inspire and ideally help people get better, to find better ways to live in life. Let's put it that way. So today's topic is actually part 2, because yesterday I talked about the blame game sucks, and I went actually deeper than I planned, because when I do these talks, they're never scripted, and oftentimes I end up somewhere I never plan on going, which is kind of fun. That's why I like doing these. They're actually good fun that way. But it was good value in it, and actually some teaching points that came up yesterday. I'm trusting there might be some today. We'll see. I'm just going to start where I start and see where it goes. So thank you for joining me. Feel free to share this out with people if you want to have them join the conversation. If you have comments, questions, please put them in below. And realize I do all this at the back end usually, but I thought, why not do it at the front end? Let you know up front you can actually put comments, questions in now. And about 20 seconds later I actually see them, because I think there's a delay from when you type to when I see them. And let's get into the topic. So this is number 230, an ongoing series of talks called Messages from the Masculine to Inspire the Feminine Heart. However, this topic, same as yesterday's about the blame game, is independent of gender and independent of agenda. Okay, I had to play with that one. So what I want to talk about today is the comparison game. I mean, these are all games because we play them in our heads, and frankly, we have better things to do with our time, but we like to play these games. And so, like the blame game as I used yesterday, it does suck. And here's what's going on. We live in a society, in a culture, in a way of life that invites comparison on all levels. We compare our health goals against other people's. Right now, with being early January, we're in the phase of New Year resolutions, and I created a playbook for that, which I sell to people, and I'm not going to talk about it here, but part of that is because I realized that people's resolutions generally fail. A lot of times people create resolutions that is to help them get to be better off, oftentimes because they're comparing themselves against somebody else. But independent of January, or the first 2 weeks of January, this habit is innate in our being. Driving the car down the freeway, you look at somebody else's car that may be the same model as yours, but is in better shape, for example, or it's the car you'd like to get and you don't have right now. We tend to have a habit of comparing, usually, by the way, unless you're I'm not saying you're necessarily if you're a narcissist, but usually you look at other people and compare yourself less than them. Because comparison works both ways. You can compare yourself against somebody else and think you're better than them, or think you're worse than them. And it could be about the size of the steak on your plate compared with someone else at the restaurant, if you're not vegetarian. Or it could be walking down the street and the partner you're with, and then looking at someone else walking down the street with their partner and going, theirs looks better than mine. That's happened. Okay, it happened in my life. I won't say it happened in your life, but I certainly experienced it myself. But this comparison trap, let's call it that for example, is a trap because it is a limiting perspective of life. And it locks us out from being fully expressive. Okay, I've got a sidebar. So follow me on the sidebar for a second. This is the way these go. Sometimes, if you're a smart person and you're using it for your betterment, you can use comparison as a fuel supply to do better in your life than you have before. Because you might have seen somebody else out there you think is doing their work really well, but you want to do better. You'll use a comparison as a impetus to move you forward. It doesn't always work that way, or doesn't always work that well, but it is an option. So that's the sidebar. So let's get back on the main thing about when comparison doesn't work. The problem with comparison, there we go. I knew there's a piece in there somewhere. It comes up very quickly sometimes, these downloads, through loads, what you'll call these things. The problem with comparison is it doesn't work. Do you realize that on this planet, and there are 7+ billion people walking around, well, moving around, because some people are always walking. Amongst the 7 billion people, you are unique. Even if you're a twin or a triplet, you are unique. There's a thing about uniqueness, which is this. You can't compare uniqueness against something else. It doesn't work that way. So this fundamental understanding, would you get it, about the fact we're all unique, takes the pressure off. Because we are habitually imprinted, entrained, and informed by the media, particularly, and by other things around us, that give us this feeling that we must judge ourselves as less than somebody else because that person has more than we have, or better than we have, or the nicer house, the nicer car, the nicer partner, the nicer dog, or everything. And it's a lie. They may have something that looks better on the outside, and that one's coming. Okay, join me on another sidebar. They keep showing up. It might be looking the same from outside, but I've watched so many beautiful relationships on the outside be horrendously painful and abusive inside, behind closed doors. So, to compare your relationship paradigm with somebody else's, you don't know the backstory. That's simple. So, comparison, again, like blame, has no real use in your life. I mean, that one exception I talked about, which is really, it's half-hearted, really. Because the impetus to do well and be the best you can be, ideally, is something you can work on yourself, regardless of having to compare against somebody else, to use them as the leverage to get yourself up to where you want to go. Now, I'm watching the thread, so join me in my mind as I go down this pathway into this rabbit hole. I was looking to see where the blame game solution and the comparison game, or the comparison trap, merge into a teaching. So I think I just got it. So let's see where it goes. So I'm noticing my face a little bit red on the screen today. Well, just the way it is. Must have the pink shirt bringing up my colouring. Comparison and blame are tools that people use unconsciously to detract from our true beingness. And what I mean by that, because I was going down a path I was going, is that where I'm going? Let me come back. I spoke yesterday about this, and I want to repeat that piece now. Out of the 7.5 billion people, a small minority are actually aware of the fact that they can be self-aware, self-reflective. You know, one of the simplest ways of doing meditation is to simply watch your own thoughts. That's self-awareness. If you can do that for a minute, even a minute, it starts to bring you into awareness of yourself. And the more you do that practice of bringing yourself present to yourself, as in self-awareness, two things will happen. One is, you'll spend less time focusing on out there, comparison, blame, judgment, all that limiting stuff. Second thing is, as you turn yourself inward more and more, you start to value and appreciate who you are. Kind of called self-love, self-respect, self-approval, self-trust, self-confidence. All those things are innate. Yes, innate, inside of you, automatically. But being aware of it makes it easier. There's so many people out there, and I don't have numbers to give you specifics, but there are so many people out there who are running on fumes, meaning running on the outside appearance of what they think they should be like. They're looking like this it's kind of, okay, three things at once. I'm like, okay, how do I plot these out? They're running on fumes, meaning that they're putting up this apparent shell which is fake. Kind of like this is where it comes from. Kind of like the emperor has no clothes. They put on this bravado, this sense of like self-importance, because they're trying to compare against other people favorably. It's not true, and it doesn't happen, because what they're doing is putting on a false front, an appearance of being better than they really are, and it's not true. Because people, generally speaking, have very, very fragile egos. And you may have noticed that. The power comes when you let go of the fragility of the ego. You collapse into yourself, which is bigger than your ego. Yes, I'm talking metaphysically, metaphorically here. When you can claim back your true nature, when you can remember your true nature and own who you really are. When you let go of the comparison, that outward must-have judgment, evaluation, failing to do well because other people are better than you, that whole rant, again, that meditative practice of just simply observing and witnessing your thoughts Because when you witness your thoughts, you actually listen to what you're thinking. Have you done that lately? Just be aware of what your thoughts are doing inside your head, what they're telling you. Because the thoughts you're running, 9 times out of 10, for most of us, I've got to be careful I don't say everybody, because I don't want to assume everybody's that case, but 9 times out of 10 for most of us are not working in our favor. We're running automatic programming that diminishes us. So first of all, become aware. Again, the meditative practice of spending time focusing on the breath and being consciously aware of your thoughts is a step in the right direction. I didn't plan on teaching meditation, but I guess I'm doing that this one. But if you do this, it starts to bring you home to you. And as you bring yourself home into yourself and bring yourself present to yourself, I'm watching these things flow, so I'm not sure, I don't say I see stuff, but I sense these things, so I'm just putting into words what I can articulate. The power you have to know your truth, the power you have to express your truth, the power you have to honor who you are, to love yourself, appreciate yourself, respect yourself, and honor yourself, is up to you. It's up to me, not to anybody else, up to you. And as soon as you start to let go of the comparison trap, as I mentioned, and the blame game from yesterday, let go of those two things especially, because those are tied to judgments. When you let go of those, you might just be amazed at how nice you look in the mirror, because you're not carrying all that crap on your shoulders. You're actually stepping into your truth. And kind of like the ugly duckling into the was either ugly duckling into the swan, or the caterpillar into the butterfly. What happens is when you stop all the judgments and all that flagellation with judgments and blame and guilt and resentment, all these different things, you start to shine. This is a key to be more attractive if you're looking for love in all the right places. Hint, hint. But it also means that you live your life in a more whole place, a more complete place, a more trustworthy place, because you're no longer attempting to fit in or contort to fit something else because you're trying to be compared favorably with other people. You become whole. And that may be the biggest key for life itself, is when you do, choose to let go of the outside comparison, blame, judgment, etc., and you do put your focus on in here, especially in your heart, and learning to truly see yourself as you really are, your life will change for the better, in case you're wondering. I've just seen something else. It's seeing what else is coming through. These. By the way, if you haven't watched my broadcasts before, this happens a lot more lately than I've done before. Having done 230 of these broadcasts, I'd say at least the last few dozen have been influenced by what sort of comes through as I'm talking, because there's not stuff that I necessarily start with. In fact, none of these talks I've ever done, none of the 230 that I've done, 230 that I've done have actually been scripted or planned. I mean, the first 2 or 3 I did, I was on the bike path. That's what started these whole talks back in December last year, so over a year ago. And I was talking to the camera because I had to get it off my chest. It was a venting almost. Now they're more presented. But it's still not scripted. It just flows the way it does. So I think I've delivered what I wanted to. These talks, in case you haven't watched again, just so you have some background, these talks run, generally speaking, around 10-15 minutes or thereabouts, sometimes less, sometimes more. They're intended to inform, inspire, and enlighten. I hope they do that. If you have questions or thoughts you want to put below, please put in the comments. I will respond. If you're watching this on YouTube, because these do get repurposed on YouTube, you can comment there as well. And of course, you can watch them on my website, which is barryselby.com. You can click on the video blog to watch them there. This is my daily Facebook Live, as I mentioned. Usually then designed to inspire, awaken, and educate, ideally. And I hope they're of value to you. I appreciate you watching and appreciate you being with me in this journey. And if you know anybody should watch this, please share it with them. And if you're looking for support, particularly in self-love, self-support, and self-respect, that's kind of one of my secret weapons. I'll help you with that. Thank you for watching. Please take care of yourselves. And yes, be willing to drop the comparison and the blame and love yourself, because you deserve it. And if you do that regularly, your life will transform. I'll see you again tomorrow.